Johnny Stein here, by the way, the great Johnny Stein. Listen, how many people in the year 2017 are doing a podcast wearing a Riggins, a John Riggins jersey when he was a Jet, not even Riggins Redskins. When he, I believe, was MVP in that Super Bowl.
Yes,
had that big run, got
43
away.
yards off tackle.
Exactly. That's when the Dolphins look like their defensive backs look like accountants. Woodley was their quarterback. What a boring Dolphins team that was.
That's right.
Don Strock looked like George Hamilton on the side. Don Strock looked like Yaphet Kotto. And he made a living being a third-string quarterback, and the pussy he must have got in Miami just hanging out. I'd rather be the third-string quarterback in Miami than like a Hall of Famer in Buffalo. You know, I'd rather be Marino than Jim Kelly. Because I would, when I went to Buffalo, I would go. The first time I was up there doing stand-up, it was right around when they lost their third Super Bowl in a row. And I said, and those people have nothing. Like, you know, it's either shovel the snow or what time are the Sabres on? Everybody good-looking leaves when they're 19. If you're good-looking in Buffalo, you're like, I'm getting out of here. You want to be in show business? No, I'm still going to work I'm going to work at a Denny's, but in Miami. They just leave. Okay, and by the way, this kid from it's either Big Bang Theory or Silicon Valley or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, the next person that does a drop the mic joke, okay, pick up the mic, pick it up, shove it up your ass. That's the new thing. Like I had an ex-girlfriend. I won't say her name, but you know, like Norm had this problem with a certain girl he was dating that may or may not have been a supermodel. You get sick of them. You get sick of them. She was that phrase "don't go there" was big because by the time Matthew Perry said it on Friends, it was already hacky. Believe me, that means everybody was saying it at Largo and you know. So she kept saying to Norm, "Don't go there." Okay, she might have had that accent. Don't go there. So Norm, being a comic, he finally went, "Listen, you have to stop saying that." No, what do you mean? It's fun. That's what everybody says. He goes, I know. That's why. You have to stop saying it. He goes, my doorman says it. Everybody says it. My 2-year-old says it. Don't go there, Norm. You have to stop saying it. Like he wanted to punch her in the face. The new thing was epic. That's what they picked.
Yes.
This is epic. Or you got this. She had me doing it because I just wanted to make. Like she thought as a couple we made that up. You know what I mean? Like they try to like. Do you think we're special with that or something? Like she would sign notes or birthday cards. I know it's a tough week, but you got this. I know you're going on Conan, but you got this. That makes me feel like, I don't know, everybody. You know, and then I did it once. Just I couldn't believe I was doing it. I was so ashamed. And she goes, oh, thanks. I'm like, yeah, you know, good luck. I don't know, doing whatever you do. I don't know what you do.
Oh, God.
You got this. What do we have exactly? What do we have? The HIV?
Oh, God.
You got that's not our special little thing. It's like one of my favorite comics ever is a guy named Todd Barry. You know, again, if his look was considered, you know, in any generation, he'd be, you know, a very famous person. Well, he's so funny that he you know, he works. I'm sure he makes money, but. I'm trying to, you know, again, I'm no looker. I'm not going to talk about his looks. Okay, fine. But anyway, Todd is one of the funniest guys ever, and in my opinion. And he would talk about Epcot. He grew up outside of Orlando, Florida, by Disney World. And he was talking to a couple, and they said, yeah, Disney World, it used to be fun, but now it's too crowded. And he said, yeah, I can remember when I was a kid, Disney World was our own little thing. I can remember, Epcot Center, no one knew about it. It was just me and my 4 friends. We would go there, and then it got too commercial. That's what he said. On the setup was, they said, we like Disney World, but it's got too commercial. Isn't that the point of it? Yeah, the Super Bowl was good until they showed commercials. He goes, yeah, that's what he said. Epcot Center was our own little thing. We couldn't believe that. We couldn't understand how nobody went except me and my friends, and they could afford to decorate all the rooms like every country in the world. Yeah, so that's what it is. Epic, and you got this. Talk to the hand was a big one for a while. And no, we're not being special. Let's make up something of a, you know what I mean? Get a table near the street, our old familiar place. You and I face to face. What's that? Forget it. These millennials, man, at this pizzeria, I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I'm dying for like an old neighborhood conversation. 17 years ago when I moved into this dump, I would, I'll get into that later. Had an issue with some of the women here who aren't too judgmental. You whores. All mad that their fucking husbands' parents spent $400,000 for them to go to Yale to get a business degree so they can fucking work in some cubicle for an asshole. At fucking, J.P. Morgan come home with a vagina. He's so fucking emasculated. And you come home and you tell you, did you go to Magnolia and get the 4,000 cupcakes that are gluten-free for our fucking cunt-like son?
Oh, God.
He's turning 2. We're getting him 4,000 cupcakes. He's turning 2. Did you call Aerosmith for his 5th birthday? He when he walks by the radio and the song "Dream On" is on, he seems to like it. So we thought for his 3rd birthday we'd get Aerosmith. Yeah, because you got daddy and mommy's money. They're mad. They spent $400,000 for him to make less money than me. You know what I did? You know what I spent to get my career? Whatever it cost to watch The Odd Couple. Well, a couple of times my mother gave me a double sawbuck for the bus. Believe me, she got paid back with interest. With fucking interest. Yep. But whatever it costs to work next to Chick Galante as a longshoreman, that's how a couple of people after some crashing said, "Oh, it was great. Where did you study?" I'm like, Newark. Rutgers? No. The orange juice pier. I studied characters while I talked to Chick Skumad. Don't tell I'm here. Don't tell I'm here. You understand? You understand what my wife sounds like? Yeah. You understand what the other one sounds like? Yeah. You know what to tell them? You're an actor. You want me to write your script, you fucking fag? I got you. I told him I want to be in showbiz. He goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't know. I'm going to be a comedian. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I want to be a comedian. He goes, what do you mean? I said, like on stage. He goes, I swear to God. He goes, you mean like James Caan? I said, I don't know. It's not exactly what I think of when I hear comedian, but yeah, he's a funny guy. I love him. He goes, how are you going to do that? I go, I don't know. The same way James Caan did. Yeah, he goes, but he was a good-looking guy. I said, yes, we said. No, go ahead, talk, John.
He was no Willie Nelson.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I saw. Again, I know James Caan because we were in the same movie together, and he called my name right outside our old studio at DirecTV. I'm walking. He was at the Trump Soho before there was protesters, and James Caan comes up to about my chin, which is hilarious. It's sunny. It's sunny. And I said, Papa Jaco, look what I got. I hear, Artie Lang. I go, hey, Jimmy. I call him Jimmy. So, I'm the only guy who does nothing but talk about the movie The Killer Elite. That's all. Instead of The Godfather, I want to be unique. I just sing, so kiss me goodbye. It's, did you fuck Sally Field? Blew me. No.
Oh,
He never said that. He never said that. I banged Sally Field. Yeah. So his son, Scott Caan, by the way, I was watching one of the Oceans Whatever. The reason George Clooney has a jet. I'm sure it's not for Syriana. And the live fail-safe on CBS at the Norm Show, we got to keep quiet. That's power. They were doing a live fail-safe, a live version of the movie Fail-Safe with Henry Fonda. Was there a demand for that? George Clooney's doing it with costumes, and the stage where they shot Drew Carey, which was an inch from the soundstage we shot the Norm show. We were told not to do our show for a while. Like we were here, like Norm World in a costume, and we're spending money, and they said no. George Clooney's doing something. You have to wait. Quite frankly, I had Broadway. So James Caan comes up to me and talks to me for a little bit. At the end of the conversation, again, if you heard this joke, it's still funny because I picture James Caan, broad daylight, on the street in Manhattan. Nobody this was really, really embarrassing. 20-year-old kid recognizes me.
Oh, God.
Doesn't recognize James Caan. And I said, because James Caan has a great sense of humor, part of me was dying for the kid to give James Caan the camera and say, and how about this? This would be my perfect situation. If he said yes, took the camera, threw it down, and said, "Goddamn FBI, don't respect me." And then spit on it. And this millennial with a fucking, Raleigh Fingers mustache on his way back to the fucking train to Williamsburg to show his billionaire parents that he can rough it for a day. These kids don't know what the subway is. Watch the opening sequence to Welcome Back, Kotter. That's what the subway was. There was stuff written on the fucking thing in paint that would make you upset in your safe space. There was stuff written like at the urinal inside the bathroom in the subway. You look up at the urinal while you're pissing, and I swear to God, it said by the N train going in Times Square, the Grand Central stop. There was a urinal where while you were pissing, you looked up, and in like crayon, it said, "You're holding your mother in your hands."
Oh, God.
Yeah, how great would that be? Like, would you throw the camera down for him? And he spits on it. Goddamn. The way Bozzini takes the picture and he just takes out the film and throws it down. Those were the days. I had all my contacts in there, Mr. Bozzini. What about my contacts? So, James Caan, barely getting up to my chin, goes like this. He goes, "You're a comedian, right? You'll love this. What's the worst thing a chick could hear after... No, abroad. He goes, what's the worst thing a broad could hear after she blows Willie Nelson? What? I'm not Willie Nelson. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. Okay. I'm a comic. I never heard that joke before. And a joke is not old if you've never heard it before. Again, if someone never saw the movie Buffalo 66, my cousin's friend, and I said, I envy you because I love that movie. And I said, it's like if someone never saw The Godfather. You're about to see The Godfather for the first time. It's like Dan with Rick Steves, right?
That's right.
But no, think about that. They're about to experience stuff. It's like Ainsley Mortimer. What's her name? The chick on Fox and Friends, the blonde, who pisses off those two ugly guys every
Ainsley
morning.
Earhart.
Yeah, is that her name?
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like two guys hired a whore. And they are so bitter. The guy on the right killed me. He wrote 82 books. They barely got to number one. This chick's first book skyrocketed. Like Hemingway. And it's a picture. It's stuff that her father said at the breakfast table. And she goes, I wrote a book, and it's just so you bought it with that. You bought. Explain why it's number one. There gives me the bulk thing. Explain that.
Many of the conservative books go to number one because they are allowed to buy in. Religious groups are allowed to buy in bulk, which means that they buy it without any tax, and the price can be.
No, it's a church group buys a bunch of them, gives them out because it's like a nice rated G. Right?
Exactly, and they can buy.
Too Fat to Fish didn't get that.
No,
I was number one for real, cunt. Go right ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
So they can.
There's always more to Dan's story.
They can price the book at anything they want.
Right. Wow.
And a lot of Bill O'Reilly's books and some of the conservative books are $2.
You know, like J-Lo, I call Bill a B.O. You mean B.O.? Right. So they shot up like killing. His latest book, Killing Journalism, is coming out. The pompousness of Hannity is just absolutely so insane. Every single guest that comes on, if there's a hot chick, he goes, I said journalism is dead in 2007. Do you agree with that? He says that to everybody. I said journalism is dead in 2007. And a lot of people just cut him off. Like, But this chick today was pissing off Kill Me. And she wrote another book. She got a book.
Oh, no.
I said, God, you're like Stephen King. How'd you write this so quickly? It's another book, a picture she had laying around.
Oh.
She goes, well, the first book was what I was teaching my 2-year-old daughter. This one's about what she teaches me. And you see the two seething. Like, Kilmeade's actually a smart guy about politics. He writes essays that could be... That could have been in the National Review. Like 8-page essays about the economy. Church, the stuff church don't buy in bulk. Right. Nobody buys it in bulk. And like he struggles. He takes a long time. I think he writes it in shorthand. And he barely gets to the point. He's written like 18 of them. He's a real writer. This one's about what she taught me. Triples his sales in a minute. And it's a picture of her holding. Well, that's just a shot we had of me looking at her. And for instance, and then you think it's over. And then she keeps talking. Like they're about to go. Okay,
so she's like me.
Well, yeah, Dan is extraordinary. She keeps talking. And they're well, our next guest about Obamacare. Well, here's what happened. I swear to God, she said this. Like the other day, I realized I'm experiencing stuff with her. And this is the first chapter. She saw a dog for the first time. And I said, wow, my little girl is seeing a dog for the first time. And I said, wow, that is amazing. Think about that, guys. I get to see, what a privilege. I get to see her seeing a dog for the first time. Yeah. And then if the dog shits, guess what else she's seeing for the first time? A black nanny cleaning up dog shit. My little girl is seeing a colored nanny. By the way, the same colored nanny I had. That's right, Mamie. You are in our family. At Thanksgiving, when she gets done, she's allowed to eat. My little girl is seeing me pretend to cook a turkey for a picture for the first time. That's right. Yeah, she said, seeing a dog for the first time. Shut up. And I said, what is she teaching me? That dogs are a wonder. And also, by the way, she's the hottest piece of ass ever. And every time something stupid comes out of her mouth, you just want to shut her up with your fucking cock. You want to shut her up with your dick. Brian Kilmeade and that other old guy, Dorsey. I'm a slob from New Jersey. Even I know it's not John George's. He said, John George's. Donald Trump is at John George's. Jesus Christ. Yeah. They must hurt themselves slapping it to her. I mean, how many times have they been in some nook and cranny at the Fox building jerking off? Yeah. Just show this to your kid for the first time. My child is seeing Brian Kilmeade slap it for the first time. And then her father came on once for the first book because it was tough. She would get up. Listen to how tough her life was. She would get up in their mansion. They would go to a breakfast nook. If you have a breakfast nook, oh, God. A separate nook to eat a bagel before you don't have to run to work. It's like fourth generation money. It's built on slavery, literally. My father said that, yes, slavery's wrong. But listen, a BMW costs money. Jefferson and these guys were considered, Hamilton, these guys were considered great businessmen. They had free labor. You could have, Borschetti could make money. Oh my. When you're going over the books, ask an accountant if, this section here where it's called payroll doesn't exist. If Anheuser-Busch had a section in the accounting books where you see all the people that bottle it, make it, all that stuff, the big number, that's not there. If you lose money doing that, you really got a Goyish cup. You have a Goyish cup. Yeah. So she's seeing things. It's stuff her kid is teaching her. What, how to shit in a diaper? They must be so mad. Like they go home and Kilmeade's wife probably looks like me. He probably married her before. He's probably figuring out a way to get rid of her. Like get the second wife, the wife where I got on TV wife. And she at dinner, the Kilmeade's wife was like, so I saw Ainsley wrote another book. Why can't you write another book? What did our kid teach you? Now we had to get a bigger house. What about what I teach you? That you can't get enough lotion. Let's go to John George's. Yeah, her father came on for the first book, and he would write. She would go to the breakfast nook. There'd be pancakes, and I love. That's the other thing. These skinny chicks, they want to seem like Fox News appeals to like regular people. So they're appealing to how we just were in St. Louis, and by the way, the St. Louis people, I love them, but how enormous were some of those people? That Midwestern fat, and that's what she's trying to appeal to. So she's like, you know me, guys. You've seen me shovel in the pancake. Rosie O'Donnell had Michelle Pfeiffer on once when she had a talk show. And Michelle Pfeiffer said, I saw in this movie you eat M&M peanuts. I love M&M peanuts. She eats them in the movie. She probably throws them up. And so Michelle Pfeiffer clearly did not know this was going to happen. She goes, I know you love M&M peanuts. And Michelle goes, yeah, I do. And she gets a big applause. Well, I have some right here. She pulls out under the desk an enormous plate. Now, Michelle Pfeiffer realizes she's going to really have to eat an M&M. And she's horrified. Like she goes, how am I going to, I have to eat an M&M. Otherwise I'm going to look so, well, I have lunch later. You know what I mean? Lunch. Come on, just one. So come on, eat with me. Just one. Okay. Now, Rosie O'Donnell starts throwing M&Ms in her mouth. It looks like it looks like one of those SeaWorld fish getting like guppies. She's throwing M&Ms. She's saying, I love that peanut. So she eats before Michelle Pfeiffer touches an M&M. Rosie O'Donnell ate, I'm going to take a guess, 400 M&Ms. And it's as if Michael Jordan hit a three to win a game. Go right, and they cut to her crowd. They're enormous people. They're women wearing white sweat socks to the knee. They look like the first coach in Banders Bears and Breakfast. Gentlemen, I'm going to write another word on the board. I love that Johnny gets that right. So now Michelle Pfeiffer realizes like they stand like Michelle. It's like when Derek Jeter had to acknowledge the bleacher people, like he had to do something. Now Michelle Pfeiffer, you see her, she realizes that she has to eat an M&M because the people won't shut up, and she has this hippo throwing it. So okay, then Michelle Pfeiffer then does something I've never seen a human being do. She picked up one M&M.
Oh,
looked at it as if it was the Turan. And she ate half an M&M. She ate half an M&M. She went like this. Okay. Then the greatest thing happens. Boo. So she goes, all right, eats a whole M&M, and thank God they cheer that Michelle Pfeiffer ate a whole M&M. While she ate one M&M, Rosie put down 50 more, throwing them in her mouth, like Fred Flintstone throws M&M, like how is she doing it? I mean, it's like a dunk tank in her mouth. She hits it every time. I love Al Franken with the condescension of Al Franken with these senators. It's like you think they're retarded. It's like Hemingway talking to Boschetti. Oh, that's so fucking funny. That's so yeah. And I love Rosie. I got to we became friends. We actually became friends. She was very nice to me, but. I'm not goofing on Rosie. Rosie's Rosie. She was doing what, quite frankly, she was being cool. It is cool to see someone eat, she's eating like a human being. I guess a human being, yeah. And this is goofing on Michelle fucking twathead Pfeiffer. Have an M&M, you fucking cunt. I said this was so great. This got a huge applause. I don't know if Danny heard this. The great people of St. Louis. What we oversold the shows. Everything was sold out, and this got a huge cheer. I said, you know what? I was so mad. I called this woman the C word. That means you're acting like a bitch and a hateful ass. And we all know the C word. What does it say with me? Chelsea Handler.
I didn't hear.
Gotta take a leak. Okay, yeah. So let's do a little segment I like to call Artie's personal life. Yeah, you know, I have some friends at TMZ, and I'm good to them and stuff. And you figure, yeah, maybe they'll take care of me if a scandal ever happens. Well, that apparently is out the window. I guess I'm kind of more famous than I thought because a lot of time was spent on the fact. Anyway, I can't talk about what happened. I might have my lawyers, but I will. A friend of mine who's sort of in show business might have leaked some information. And if that happens, there'll be more leakage from this end of the spectrum. But anyway, I was supposed this Blue Lives Matter. I'm the main speaker. I'm doing stand up at Blue Lives Matter at the Waldorf Astoria. I think it is this Saturday, March 25th, and I'm happy to do it. The guys who approached me, great guys. I support the cops, even though, you know, at times they don't support me. But you know, listen, I've been arrested about 32 times. The cops are always in the right, except maybe the 32nd time. We're going to see what happens. But we'll let the lawyers take care of it. Let's just say, you know, I was in my safe space. This Tommy Lauren chick was supposed to introduce me at I call it the Blue Balls Matter. She is so smoking hot. And she said she's pro-choice, so they don't want her there?
No, she said she's pro-choice, so she got suspended. And this
from what? What does she do?
She does that TV network, The Blaze, but Glenn Beck's TV
Glenn Beck
network.
Suspended her?
Yes. Yeah.
The Z Morning Zoo guy?
Yes.
Is now that uptight about abortion?
Yeah.
Howard got a hold of him doing introducing Loverboy at St. Louis Morning Zoo. Here's the guy who's making $1 trillion uptight about the abortion. He would say stuff like, "Everybody's working for the weekend." You think the guys from Loverboy had a few abortions? After the album Get Lucky came out? Hey guys from Loverboy, what's up? Okay, Loverboy's in a commercial now. I think it's Geico. The lead singer, not a bad looking guy. Remember on the Get Lucky album? Okay. He looks like a manatee. He's fucking enormous. I guess 80s pussy had a lot of gluten in it. Unbelievable. There was a window of time, the Loverboy lead singer, between March of 82 and September of 83 probably got a ton of pussy. But then that window, I guarantee, immediately closed. He went from being able to grab a chick's ass and fuck her to accidentally brush up against a chick in the airport and get arrested for rape. That's how fast it happened. I was in a VIP section at a club, just me and Shaquille O'Neal for a little while, because I was friendly with the guy who ran the place, and Shaquille O'Neal was Shaquille O'Neal. And he put us both in the VIP section. I'm sitting next to Shaquille O'Neal. It looked like an interracial ventriloquist coming out. And he let a bunch of hot chicks, like hot black chicks with the butt, with the ass. Like, picture Gabrielle Union. And the union was a big union. A lot of you paying dues with that union. And so all chicks would look like that, and Shaq would just grab them. Like Trump said, grab them pussy. And I didn't see him buy them furniture, though. Yo, you want some furniture? So he just grabs them. And for a brief second, a couple of the African-American ladies thought that I grabbed them. And they said, "Watch him, motherfucker." Who you think? And then they saw who did grab him and go, "Oh, baby, get over here." Then they would box me out like Rick Mahorn. They'd lower me in like that Hank Aaron ass. They'd box me out. Box me out of the fucking thing. Before you know it, I wasn't in the VIP section anymore. The other great VIP story, of course, you know, is me and and Dave Attell and Joe Rogan were the comedians on the first ever Guys' Choice Awards. Historic night in the history of show business. We all bombed. It was in a soundstage. It looked like with round banquet tables. No one was listening to us. I sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic by Rogan. I don't think my segment aired. Me, Rogan, and Attell all bombed. And I said, listen, I don't want to sound arrogant. If it's me, Attell, and Rogan, one of us might bomb. If all three of us bomb, you got 40,000 years of fucking stand-up. The issue is yours. Tracy Morgan hosted it. This is pre-car accident. When he sounded like Mario Cuomo, and he sees me in the hotel. He goes, "Yo, you guys are legends." He bombed again. We were depressed because of the bombing. He bombed worse than any of us, and he had that. He had the attitude like it was George Carlin at Carnegie Hall. Yo, this was special. Tonight was special. And wearing a jacket that lit up. So he goes, "Yo, you gotta come to my after party at the Roosevelt." No, he said, "At Teddy Roosevelt." I said, "You mean there's a Club Teddy at the Roosevelt?" "Yeah." He was president. I said, "All right, where's the Walmart driveway?" So Attell and I went in the same town car. There was nothing else going on. We see Tracy Morgan there. By the way, Tracy Morgan Spurlock is what I'm going to be doing, where he eats at McDonald's every day. And nothing happened. Tracy calls it high school. So it's 4,000 of his cousins in an area the size of the kitchen table, in the VIP section, and the Roosevelt is all like the hotel rooms are blocked by just plants. A couple fucking. Like everyone's looking at a couple fuck, like in Boogie Nights, when William H. Macy's wife keeps getting fucked. That's what it looked like. And everyone watching, yo, they getting it on, man. And it was two white people, and Tracy goes, "They fuck like niggas." And then he high-fived his cousin. "They fuck like niggas." And I said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Attell and I are in the VIP section. We squeeze in. I'm an inch from Tracy Morgan's face. It looks like we're playing the final round of a match game. $20,000 pyramid. Yo, I'll give you the clues. So he goes, "Yo, this is show business." I said, "How you doing, Tracy?" He goes, "I'm enjoying my sobriety." "How long you been sober?" He goes, 8 days. And he showed me his bracelet, the court order bracelet. He blinged out the bracelet, the court order bracelet. He put jewelry on it, So anyway, that was Tracy Morgan Spurlock. So Tommy Lauren's not going to introduce me at the Blue Lives Matter. Probably Tommy John. By the way, a hip crowd. You'll love this. Johnny Stein will love this. Hip crowd in St. Louis. They got two of my jokes. A lot of. One was I'm a terrible, with money. 3 years ago I invested in a water park in Flint, Michigan. The water park in Flint, Michigan destroyed. And I said I'm taking a bath. And then the other one was I said, you know what? I want to do a movie about an ISIS guy who tears his rotator cuff beheading a fat American, and he gets jihadi John surgery. It's that in my opinion is the best joke I've ever written. And sometimes it gets like, what? What's John? What jihadi? What? Unbelievable. Bill Clinton says he doesn't understand ISIS, and that makes sense because it's the word "is" twice. I'm going to do that in Montclair. I swear to God, this is going to be the reaction. Is there a hot dog stand? I'll write that down. I just thought of that. It's the word "is" twice. Okay, these are going to be jokes. You guys are going to love these jokes. There's an actual story where in the black community, because a lot of the burger places, that they're going to get healthy fast food places in the black community. First of all, do you think this is funny, John? Black people are the only race where an adult can die of crib death. And I tell young kids, like, they call it their crib. You know what I mean? If they die at home, it's crib death. They died in their crib. And the only other white person is Kid Rock who could die. Or Vanilla Ice. We'll keep that one, doesn't it, man? Okay, so all right, so just think about it. We got black community fast food places that are Jive Turkey Burger. Maybe that's not that good. I was laughing in the shower, Jive Turkey Burger. I was like, yo, you want a Jive Turkey Burger? How about this one? Bernie Big Mac. I don't know what that is, but this is my favorite. Rodney Burger King. The drive-thru, you could do 70. You could smoke angel dust and drive through the drive-thru doing 70, and it's legal. Rodney Burger King. Oh yeah, Don Burger King. There's always a hair in the cheeseburger.
Al-collard green.
Staying with that hair. What an al-collard green. It leaves early. I saw Al Green. I guess he was still on the H, and in L.A. and he did 3 songs. It was billed as an Al Green concert. He ended with "A Change Is Gonna Come," and he went, you know what? I gotta take care of yourself. I just remembered he said, I just remembered I got something to do. He goes, the band will take care of it. Just make sure. He said, just make sure you play for an hour. He did 3 songs. A change is gonna come. All right, you know what? In the third person, you know what? Al's got to get out of here. I gotta get out of here. That's what I do for. By the way, I'm not totally into the whole St. Patrick's Day thing. As far as getting dressed up, I go half. I wear a shirt with a picture of Al Green. White shirt with a picture of anyway. So funny. I thought Jive Turkey Burger would get more. So anyway, I'm going to call that Artie Lang's TV Pun House. The title is a pun. It's kind of a deep thing. The title is a pun. It's very deep. It's like, it's almost mind-boggling. And when you think about it. All right, now, here's why Johnny Stein. By the way, Jimmy Breslin died. And so did Chuck Barry. I mentioned Chuck Barry because I knew Chuck Barry. A lot of cool people are from St. Louis. And Red Fox. Malcolm X spent a lot of time there. Red Fox and Malcolm X worked in the same restaurant in East St. Louis. And Red Fox was a dishwasher. Malcolm X was a short order cook. And he always said we had a funny motherfucker. We called him Red. And Malcolm X was also red, if you remember, because they both had red hair. What are the odds of that? You don't get 2 people with red hair at a river dance con. 2 black guys with red hair in the same kitchen. One guy's telling dirty jokes about gorilla cookies, and the other guy's banging every white chick in the fucking place. And of course Chuck Barry and Miles Davis from St. Louis. I'm trying to think of any cool white people. I don't think about it. But a historic city. I was, when you're a comic and you're going to travel the country, you're excited when you're in your mid-20s. You're going to get paid to go do comedy, and you're going to see St. Louis or Cleveland for the first time. Quite frankly,
I know it's coming.
Yeah, I'm just saying the smell on that rose goes away. I go there for the money because the people there are so wonderful. They buy that, and you want to do a good job for them because they're so nice and blue collar and like me. They're my people. And so we went there this weekend, and I brought my buddy Danny McGrath, the band Cop, because he turned 50, and that was a mistake. But, no, we had a lot of fun. Russ, great show, great crowds, and I mentioned Chuck Barry, and then he died. I was in St. Louis. He died. He was about a mile from us when he died. And Chuck Barry married for 68 years to Helen Keller, apparently. Chuck Barry is known for two things. Writing the song Johnny Be Good and pissing in a whore's mouth.
Oh, God.
I don't think it was his wife.
Took her across state line. That's the man act.
I know. Yeah, he literally was who Buford T. Touches was talking about. This color guy, Chuck Barry, that's a man act. Driving through backyards, knocking over mailboxes. Got a broad in the car that's kidnapping. Gonna write a little letter to a local DJ. He's got a record he wants a jockey to play. That's robbery. That's payola, and I don't think he's got a license. How's that for high digs? That's right. He took her across the state line. I can see him now. He's walking down the aisle. No, he's dancing. Knockers bouncing all around. His ass was jiggling too. Chuck Barry was what is known as a politically incorrect. He's the type of guy that Don Lemon thinks is great until he reads what he's done. All these fucking phony ass people on TV. The great Chuck Barry died, and who doesn't love Chuck Barry? I'm just gonna Google him here, and I think I read on the road. I'm sorry. Let me write in something else here. I think Chuck Barry's. Look at that! Wow, yeah, he did. Well, let's move on. Who hasn't peed in a whore's mouth? Johnny Be Good died, guys, and we love him so much, and I loved him growing up. Look at that. They have him on tape screaming, "Die, faggot, die." The original title of Johnny Be Good was Faggot Be Good. So politically incorrect man's man. Again, one of these black guys who knew how to handle a broad. 68 years. She was like Mrs. Sandusky. Absolutely. You know, Chuck, you're peeing in a girl's mouth. Shut up. Melancholy is the only word. Now, Johnny, of course, were you a Chuck Barry guy? I mean, the Great 28. That's his greatest hits, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher was teaching the golden. American history, practical math. Studying hard and hoping to pass. Working my fingers right down to the bone. And no particular place to go. Drop the coin right into the side. I got here something that's really hot. With the one you love, you make a romance. Pissing down her throat. Cruising and raping a fucking hoe. The cops are coming, let's go. The cops are coming, let's go. Drive across the state line. She's a minor innocent. In West Virginia, he always liked the minors. But again, a man's man. He's the only guy. Okay, there's a movie, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll. When Chuck Barry turned 60, 27 years ago, a guy named Taylor Hackford did a documentary. Springsteen speaks on it, Clapton, and Keith Richards. Keith Richards puts together a concert for him in St. Louis at the Fox Theater for his 60th birthday. Gets an all St. Louis crowd, and Barry's a headliner. The band is Clapton, Keith Richards, Steve Jordan, right? Johnny Williams, who's the piano player who Chuck Barry ripped everything off from. He didn't have the charisma Chuck had. And I think he always got the fat whores on the road. And Linda Ronstadt came out and did a song. Unbelievable shit. Robert Cray. It was a great band. But Keith Richards tells a story about the other guy. He's backstage after the concert. Like, clearly he said to the director, "Can I interview you at some point?" He goes, "Wait till after the show. I'll be backstage." So he's got a Marlboro Light. He's like, "I love him. I love his family. And, The first time I met him, he keeps going, that smoker quote. Back as the only bloke who ever hit me, and I didn't get him back. He was coming off stage, and he was leaving quickly, and with a piece of white tail. He really said, and I said, "Come on, Chuck, don't go so fast. Let's have a meal together." And he turned around and punched me right in the face. A piece of white tail, and I didn't do anything. I just, he never apologized. And Springsteen talks about opening for him, and he just did all those great songs, and he's arguing with Keith Richards the whole time. Keith Richards says, "Look, we're making a film, so you have to play in another key." He goes, "No, I'm playing for the fans who are there live." Yeah, but Chuck, the director's trying to tell you that it will sound terrible. He goes, "Then it sounds terrible." If it sounds terrible, that's how Chuck Berry played it. So Keith Richards has a beer, and they're rehearsing, and he goes, "No, listen." And he goes, "Do you understand?" And Keith Richards goes, "I understand." I understand. But, the people at home, you realize the whole purpose of us being here is that it sounds good on the film. And he goes, "No one ever told me that. Chuck Berry does not read the fine print." And he goes to his fat piano player with one tooth. He goes, Do I read the fine print, Johnny Williams? He goes, "Chuck does not. No, Chuck does not read the fine print." And now Keith Richards looking at Clapton, they're like, we're in a Twilight Zone. Like they're two English guys from the countryside. They're like, this is what black people are really like. When they're not singing on the records we grew up with, this is what they're like. This is what black people are like. You heard records, you and the faggot guy Mick Jagger. When we're not singing, we're taking your women. Tell that Clapton fruit to leave the guitar on the floor. So so Chuck Berry will not play in the key that sounds good on the movie. So finally, after renegotiating, they had to pay him extra money. And quite frankly, live it suffered. It didn't sound as good live. And he said, "Well, I don't want to be. My fans will not hear me play a bad show." And Keith Richards goes, "I've seen him 10 times. It's always terrible." And he's like, "No, Chuck Berry. Does Chuck Berry do a bad show, Johnny?" "Chuck Berry does not do that." So this is after he punched him in the face. And Keith Richards produced it, but he comes out in a Cadillac, and Linda Ronstadt comes out, and she is still Linda Ronstadt. She still has a little meat on her, but still like that 70s Linda Ronstadt. That's just you want to fuck her. That one album where she got the roller skates.
Yes. Oh God.
And yeah. So Chuck Berry though is really being inappropriate with her. Like she sings a song, and goes, "Look at this girl, all 28-ish. Come here, baby. Dolly's hugging her. She's like, "Okay, Chuck, come on, give Chuck a kiss." Johnny, does Chuck kiss every girl on his birthday? Chuck does kiss her. Johnny, did you ever see? Did Chuck fuck your wife once? Several times. Several times. There was nothing else around, and Johnny said, "Listen, take one for the team." So it's a great Chuck Berry died. And while we were in St. Louis, which is where he's from, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And Holly Berry's still alive. Holly Berry still alive.
Fred Berry dead.
Fred Berry, thank God. The berry on Ralph's face, alive. So the other person went is Jimmy Breslin. Now, obviously, Jimmy, I believe, never pissed in a whore's mouth.
Oh God,
not as famous as the great Keith Richards or Chuck Berry. But Jimmy Breslin was, to me, Pete Hamill, another great writer. He was a columnist in the Daily News and the Post, both for a little while. I think mostly for the Post. He did a beer commercial nationally in the 70s for Peel's beer. And it said, "It's a good drinking beer." I like it. And he was famous for being, he was, New York's Ernie Cup, whatever, the Royko, right?
Mike Royko.
Right, the
Mike
guy
Royko.
Belushi played.
Right.
He was a guy who, he always say he was humble. He goes, "I'm not no great reporter or writer. I hang around. I hang around the mafia bars. They tell me they hit a guy. I write it." And he wrote several books that are great. But Pete Hamill, another amazing classic, a little more pompous than Jimmy. Jimmy was more real. Not great with the cops. People have pointed that out. Jimmy, wrote a lot of anti-cop stuff that I think got resolved. But again, artists are complicated people. He's got a great son who I was friends with for a lunch. It's funny how you meet people, you go in and out of life. In L.A., I met Chris Breslin, who, good-looking kid. He was going to be, he was an actor, did a lot of work, really good actor, and took Meisner and stuff like that. And his name's Chris Breslin. And we met at a comedy club. And a mutual friend introduced us. And I just saw his name. And then I started looking at him. And a thinner version of his old man. I guess it was one of the kids with the good-looking wives. And no, I never met his mom, but it was one of the real children of Jimmy Breslin, who wasn't a bullshit heir to the throne. And the greatest kid, real funny, great sense of humor. And it took a couple of days. I go, wait. I pull him aside. I go, "You're not Jimmy Breslin's kid." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm sorry. I keep telling him." I'm like, "No, you got to know how much I love you, old man." He goes, "I know. I've heard you because." I talked about it in interviews a couple of times when writers in New York came up. But Pete Hamill said that, the way Charles Dickens writes novels about London, there's no great novel about New York, and he always thought that newspaper columns sort of told the tale of New York City back to the 1700s. And he's right, and there's no better example than the columns of Jimmy Breslin. If you go back and watch him, he got real famous in 1977. The son of Sam, serial killer, David Berkowitz, wrote to him. And, he was the one guy who he didn't kill, or tried to kill, he wrote to. And he tried to explain why he was killing people. The dog was talking to him. And, that story is amazing. But what's great about Breslin is you think he's going to be a bleeding heart about it. He was a real gruff guy. So they say to him, "Hey, they caught Berkowitz, did you get, even though what he is and what he did you get a little affection for him because he wrote your letters and stuff, and you had a personal thing for him?" And Breslin goes, "Nah, he's a dirtbag, fry him." But in the summer of 77, into 78, a little bit in 76, but mostly the summer of, again, Spike Lee depicted it in the movie, and I think that's a swing and a miss. But he shot women in cold blood that were usually making out in a car, right out of a textbook for a serial killer, Berkowitz, with a .44 Magnum. And for a while, this is the greatest thing, and Breslin writes about this in one of his articles. He might have floated this rumor, which is so amazing. Reggie Jackson was number 44. He floated the rumor that Jackson was the killer. The Yankees were always home when the murders. It was something like amazing, and that's why he used the .44 man. And Jackson had the year of his life, and of course hit the 3 home runs. And again, Spike Lee tried to capture that, and he did. He captures the way Buckner or Leon Durham captures ground balls in the game. So Chris Breslin and I, it's one of those things in life where, at 49 years old, you realize there's chapters. And the last 3 years I lived in L.A., Chris and I were really tight friends. We went out, we clubs, and me and my buddy Anthony and him, and had great dinners together. He knew all these rich people, and but the most down to earth, great guy. And for a little while, him and his old man were kind of estranged, but I understand they were good. And Chris is such a great guy. I hope he's happy. I haven't seen him in a while. I reached out to him on Twitter. I said I had to say something about Breslin, and I basically said R.I.P. to Breslin, and I said to Chris, I miss you, man. And again, he sent me one tweet back that I think is a troll. who is not him. It said, of course, eat a dick fatty. No, so hopefully Chris gets in touch. Chris, I'm thinking about you, buddy, and your old man was something special, 87 years young. So Jimmy Breslin's story that I'll leave you with. He wrote a lot of great books. I have one in the back called I Don't Want to Go to Jail, which is a fiction novel. It's really, really funny. Insane, like ironic, like New York sarcasm that like jumps off the page. There were hit and misses, but he also wrote The Guy Who Couldn't Shoot Straight, which became a movie with De Niro in the early 70s, one of De Niro's first movies.
Hervé Villechaize.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Guy Who Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pick that up as the book, I mean. And I Don't Want to Go to Jail, to me, is my second favorite Breslin book. But 3 a.m., he's at home in Queens with his wife, 72-ish. Knock at the door at 3 a.m., puts a robe on, goes downstairs. A young Robert De Niro in his mid-20s is standing at the door. And Breslin was going to get ready to get a bat. He's like, what do you want? It's like this Italian thug at his door. And he goes, Mr. Breslin, I know you wrote the book. We're doing the movie, and I'm playing the lead. I want to know what's the village, the exact name of the village in Sicily where this family came from that I'm playing. And he tells him the name, and he goes, why? He goes, I'm flying there right now. We don't shoot for 3 weeks. I want to make sure I get the accent. I want to make sure I get the accent right. I'm going to spend 3 weeks in the village and come back and shoot. And he left. And the wife goes, like, God, he's crazy. And Breslin goes, and this kind of was his mantra. He goes, no, that guy's going to be big. You know why? He does the work. Yeah. He does the work. A lot of for the actors, they don't do the work. He does the work. And you know why I was successful? I do the work. I'm not at home. I'm not at home watching the Tonight Show. I'm at the bar. And people are telling me where, they took Gambino's nephew when they kidnapped him. And when they're going to put the Irish guy's head in a vice, I was there. He just hung around. People liked him because he was a real New Yorker. They told him stories. He wrote them. And a couple of times the mafia called him and said, no, you're a little too detailed. Amazing stories. Yeah. Again, they're all dropping. The 70s are slowly going. 2 people in East Street Band are gone. Bruce is selling houses in Jersey. What's going on there? Oh, Frisco. I think Terry and Backstreets might have came back. And Clarence is gone. It's like I still am getting arrested. Johnny Stein wearing the Riggins jersey. Last time I saw Riggins was not getting his MVP trophy. He was walking around Hell's Kitchen trying to have sex with an ATM machine. Riggins is Hell's Kitchen guy. And one night, me and my friend Kamal from the Jerky Boys, the Jerky Boy that is the Egyptian magician. Yes, Egyptian magician. A lot of the great characters he has copyrighted. So Hank Azaria took that voice for Abu. And we were in a bar once called Dalton's in Hell's Kitchen. And we see John Riggins wearing an army jacket. And he's got a real nasty look. He's looking at somebody on the other side of the bar. And that somebody's playing the jukebox. And somebody looks effeminate and is wearing clogs. It's a feminine guy wearing clogs playing the jukebox. We go over, and it's Matthew Broderick. It was Matthew Broderick. And Riggins looked like he wanted to punch him in the face. Of course, Matthew Broderick, not gay at all. He married Sarah Jessica Parker, who is a typical voluptuous woman that guy's like. Tell you what, though, pick up Honeymoon in Vegas. Holy shit. Yep. Right? Yep. I think she was buying a Nicolas Cage. John Melendez, if he announced all the people that Sarah Jessica Parker fucked. Nicolas Cage. JFK Jr. Robert Downey Jr. Also a junior.
You think Caan went after her in Honeymoon in Vegas?
Yeah, but I think Nicolas Cage got in the way. He's probably mad, too. Young fuck. And you got to look the other way because Cage is a fucking uncle.
Oh, that's right.
Gave him a career.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Scott Caan is so much like his old man. And I like Scott Caan. He's a guy who hasn't gotten a lot of the material his father got as far as scripts. But he reminds me so much of his father, the way he gets mad. And I think he's a good actor, Scott Caan. It's just that his father got The Godfather, and he, of course, was 8th season of the new Hawaii Five-O. So anyway, last time Johnny was here, I'm not writing a assignment. I said it'd be fun if because he's a good writer. American Bystander is a magazine, right? Where you had a really great article in there. And when are you going to be in there next? When can we look?
The next one's coming out in April, and I actually just heard that some artwork by Steve Torelli is going to be in the next American.
No
Bystander.
kidding.
Absolutely.
Torelli, Twitter follower, Philly guy, great guy. So we'll plug that too. We'll have Steve come up maybe, and a magazine. A lot of heavy hitters, or as far as comedy writers, Rosie O'Donnell, and so that's a big deal, man. So congrats. We'll have you back on, obviously, a lot of times, but definitely to promote that. But I said, I started doing this joke on stage, but I only had one line. Rodney Dangerfield in a modern situation, kind of like doing his old jokes, but about the Middle East, goofing on ISIS, but that. And I said, she was known as a two burqa. You put a burqa on your face in case the one on hers fell off. All right. And, of course, that was a two-bagger. Again, a joke that if you told it to a millennial, what does that mean? A bag was on the poor woman's face? And the political correctness snuck up. Someone keeps sending me this. We used to have in Las Vegas a butterface contest. Everything's hot butterface. That's what we call them. Like, could you get away with that now? No. These women with hot bodies and bikinis in Vegas in front of thousands of people and us on the radio, live on the radio and live on TV, would put a bag on their head.
Oh, God.
Boyfriends would enter them in a contest and not tell them what it was.
Oh, God.
And it's people with hot bodies, And then they put a bag on her head backstage.
Oh, God.
And then they say, look, honey, we can win $30,000. The woman who won had a body of a young like Cindy Crawford and the face of Broderick Crawford. Now, what the hell's your name? Jack Kerouac. Do you mind? I'd like my $25,000. It's the butterface contest. I got the body of Cindy Crawford and the face and apparently the voice of Broderick Crawford. Is anybody under 80 getting this reference? I was on Highway Patrol. It was the Highway Patrol, a TV show that came out the day after they invented television. I was born 2 days after the discovery of dirt. This is Broderick Crawford. I'm doing my Matthew Broderick Crawford. I'm wearing clogs. I'm fucking Sarah Jessica Parker. What the hell's your name? Yeah, there's a character I'm doing. Body of Cindy Crawford. Face of Broderick. That petered out. The women who won, though, unbelievable. When they took the bag off her head, it's one of the greatest moments ever.
Oh, God.
I told the black woman I was ossified, cute black woman, that she looked like Willie Randolph.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
One had a big ass. I said she looked like Hal McRae. Oh. Nobody knew it.
Oh.
I said, you're a great hitter. I said, you know what I say? Sexy, good bat, no glove. You're by the way, your son is a good friend with Dan Filato. And so like really, they take the bag off her head and we go, oh. I can't do that anymore. So that's what the Roddy joke was. His wife's a bad cook. Like everybody, uptight, all these assholes. You did cooking jokes about your wife. First of all, Rodney, not all women cook. It's not a big deal for us to be jokes like, could you imagine those cunts ruining this joke? At my house, the flies chipped in to fix the screen door. We pray after we eat. Meatloaf shouldn't glow in the dark. Imagine them like protesting that. Just no fun. Just no more fun. We could put the fun in funeral. So Johnny went away and wrote more stuff like that, like a whole page. So I'm going to try it with Johnny. I'll do some. I'll do some more. All right, this is one of my favorites. I got. I was fat. You kidding? I was so fat when I beheaded an infidel, I had to take the guy's word for it. That's good. It's great, fantastic. You know what class is? When you behead an infidel and you fart and you say, "Excuse me." That's class. Again, the Jihadi John surgery. I was an ugly kid. You kidding? I love you kidding. You kidding? My father carried around the picture of the kid that came with the Koran. I was ugly. That's fantastic. This was. He did this quickly too, John. It was a quick assignment here.
Thank you.
I met a guy with a problem. He's half Polish, half Mujahideen. He wants to blow up an infidel, but he forgot who. Half Mujahideen. Yes, I'm doing a character, Mujahideen Martin. Quite frankly, I think he drinks. Quite frankly, I think he drinks. Mujahideen Martin. Before we behead him, we roast him. Guy owned all NBC, for Christ's sake. I know I'm old. Oh God, I'm old. At my age, what can I look forward to? I mean, from this point on, if I take excellent care of myself, I'll suicide bomb my coworkers and die. Good stuff, man. I'm a bad drinker. You're kidding? I love you kidding. I'm a bad drinker. You're kidding? Come on now. You know you're drunk when you try to rape a Yazidi and your fly isn't open. That's a bad drinker. Is that Yazidi? Yazidi. That's a good Italian. My mother made Yazidi. I'll tell you what. I'm half Italian, half terrorist. My mother made broccoli ramen Yazidi. What do you call a terrorist, an Italian terrorist who smokes pot? Baked Yazidi. Yeah, a terrorist. This guy smoked a little weed. Baked Yazidi. Baked Yazidi. Oh God, this is great. I do think the Tom Shalhoub podcast just as funny. Last night I was at a Chinese restaurant. Inside the fortune cookie was a fatwa on the guy sitting next to me. I said, "Hey, buddy, I got your fatwa." He said, "Thanks." Of course, the pizzeria me and Danny go to is in a fatwa with the X on stage. Great job, John. That's great.
Thanks, man.
I actually have a set I'm going in to meet a tell. And we're back from St. Louis. Is what you're talking about. The planes that go to St. Louis come back. I have to say something. Nobody goes to St. Louis. Okay, we went by the Arch, and I hadn't been there in about 15 years since I played this club. I've been to St. Louis about 8 years ago to play a theater, and I went to the Arch with my friend. We got pictures of it, and I couldn't fit in the Arch thing that went the buggy that went to the top. And I didn't realize when you're younger, I guess you have a different outlook on life. Nothing's as depressing. Oh my God! Cleveland is like a night out in Dubai.
The Riviera.
Yeah. Like you know that place where in the first Daniel Craig Bond movie where he plays poker,
Monte Carlo, right?
Monte Carlo. No. He's in what's the name of the place? Whatever. It's like Monte Carlo. Yeah. It's on the Riviera. It's like Sophia Loren skiing in Zurich, wherever they stay. Like Paris in the 20s with F. Scott Fitzgerald and Hemingway and at a cafe. Zelda going crazy. That's what Cleveland is like compared to St. Louis. Next to where the Cardinals play. Like we were staying in Westport where the club was. And again, I did Detroit, and I did Detroit the right way. I mean, I stayed in a casino. The show was there. My room was there. Absolutely. I don't know. We drove through there, and it was very, very depressing.
It scared Dan McGrath. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, Dan McGrath scared it. And Dan, former cop from New Jersey. There was a basketball tournament in our hotel. Again, I'm sort of famous. Dan screaming out racial shit.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, spook. Calling a fourth grader a spook. I said, Dan, if he runs back there and goes, the guy from Crashing said, I won't be working construction. I'll be driving guys to work construction. I'll be going to the Shape Up every day. It'll be like the second half of On the Waterfront. Nobody works today.
His other big thing was Future Crack Dealers of America or something. He kept on saying that.
Yeah, that's been funny.
Oh, God.
That's a funny one. That made the other officers laugh on the corner. 47 years ago, the Future Crack Dealers. Like, you're with comedians. You think that's going to go over? Something like an eighth grader said in 1982. Something was written on the fucking bathroom wall at our high school. The planes though, nobody goes there anymore. So Dan, well, explain that about the people with the flights, Dan, how they bang it, because the people would rather drive to Chicago.
Right.
Chicago is like the Paris. Dan said to me, Chicago, the only livable city in the Midwest. I'll go further. Livable's not even close to it. I mean, you got St. Louis. I mean, I've been all, and again, you realize I've been all over doing comedy. Minneapolis, okay, a little better. But again, I've done this bit before. You try following. I was in Minneapolis following a local comic who was emceeing, and he did all local references. I've never seen a guy kill harder. I was so fucking nervous about following this guy. I'm trying to think of Vikings I could mention. He kept doing local references in that accent, and that's all people want to hear. It's packed. I have to go on next. And like the manager of the club goes, is like, follow that, eh? This kid's going like, oh, you ever go out to Lake Wanamatoba with your dad? And you're going to go ice fishing, and first you got to stop at Maggie's bait shop, and he gets some bait, and Maggie's got the lazy eye. Maggie with the lazy eye at the bait shop, they all know her. They're like going, hitting the table. They're laughing so hard. Maggie with the lazy eye over at Lake Wanamatoba. Remember that year Lake Wanamatoba didn't totally freeze? And old Jake with the pickup truck fell into the ice with his kid, who's now got a lazy eye. Everyone has a lazy eye. Hitting. Remember when the fish wasn't fresh at the bait shop, the bait and tackle? Remember I joke at the bait and tackle place, I get some bait and then I tackle the woman in the body. It's so funny. The woman living by the bait shop. Then I met the guy with the biggest Ford dealership in Minneapolis. Artie, hey, what's up? It's me, Ed Abernathy. Ed Abernathy, this is my 400-pound enormous kid. He wants to take a picture with you. He's the son of the biggest Ford dealership guy. We've got a 14,000 square foot garage. You can sleep in at night if you like. This is my daughter, who's the same size as the kid. And she's got eyes for a couple of the guys who are comedians there. I said, the comedians, they do well for themselves. Artie, would you like a free Taurus? I'm up there bombing. Hey guys, I'm not into ultimate fighting. Faggot! Hey, I just fucked a chick with the lazy eye from the bait shop. That's my sister! Okay. So the plane that I was on to St. Louis, a guy who works at one of the airlines over there in St. Louis said, we don't really maintain them. I said, what? He goes, we don't maintain. I said, maintain them? What does that mean? Do you de-ice the fucking wing? Do any of them have one wing? What does that mean? I don't maintain them.
They use non-union workers to maintain those smaller planes.
Of course, it looks like non-union. Yeah. Looks like Gabriel Union did it. Jive Turkey Burger again. I'm going to keep saying it. Roddy Burger King, go for the drive-thru at 70. And the manager is Officer Caan.
Oh, God.
The guy, one of the cops was named Caan. Can you make that up? So the nothing. So this was a scary moment. The toilet was in the back of this plane, and it's like 50 people, and there's one row on the side where your head's at a right angle, like this.
Yes.
I flew back from Buffalo with Nick DiPaolo about 15 years ago on a similar plane. Okay, Nick has an aggravated look on his face, and he's getting a massage at the Beverly Hills Hotel. He's got an aggravated look. Him with his neck at a right angle. Coming back from a gig in Buffalo. We would always look at you go to Buffalo, look at the real estate section of the paper. You can get an 80,000 square foot home with a pool inside it. 28 grand. And it says, negotiable. I think it's an above ground pool inside the house. All right. Again, of course, Johnny, we've been talking a while. How long have we been talking for?
Over an hour.
God, did that fly by? What a fun time. Johnny, great material, great laugh, and as good as it gets. What do you got? Anything to plug?
AmericanBystander.org at Johnny Stein.
That's a special thing, man. He got into a great magazine. And again, how much fun did we have? There wasn't one dud in those jokes. And it was fun to do Ronnie, and he wrote that in about 20 minutes. Like my friend Quincy Jones on not Angel Dust, Opium. 20 minutes on Opium. Quincy Jones wrote the theme to Sanford & Son.
Wow.
Red Fox called him up and said, I'm doing a show about garbage. Cut to Quincy Jones, $80 million from now on.